What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I did want to go over another discussion here in Motorfest. Now, I can't be the only one wondering this. Do you guys think new players are going to struggle in Motorfest if they started right now here in Season 3? Like, we all do know the game has been out around maybe 4 months or so. It came out in, like, the beginning of September. And we are heading to around, I guess you could say the 5th month of the game here. But my big question here, though, is if you guys did start Motorfest right now I am talking about here in Season 3, would you enjoy it? The other thing I do want to mention, though, is I'm talking about right now in the game, like you never played the Crew 2, you jumped right into Motorfest as like a new player, like, you know what? Let's go experience a crew game, like what would I actually want to see in this? It is probably going to be an entire new franchise to me, so let's go see what like the crew offers, like how many vehicles, what there is to actually do in it, how can I make money, how can I get XP, like, going after different vehicle builds and stuff like that. Is it going to be new player friendly? My big honest answer here, I would almost say in a way no. And the reason why I do say that, guys, right now, like, show me the hands in the comments below right now. If you started Motorfest right now in Season 3, would you enjoy it? And also, what would you think about this game starting right now, never playing a crew game ever? I hate to say this right now, guys, but I do feel like if you haven't played the Crew 2 or even the first game, you are most likely going to jump into Motorfest and go, oh no, what do I do here? You jump into some playlists, then you go, I need that much money to buy the cars. I am gonna have to probably farm a lot. The thing about this, though, is if you were actually playing the Crew franchise before, which I have to admit, I feel like around 90% of the player base or so, maybe even more, probably has played the Crew 2. It might even be higher. It might honestly be like around 98% or so. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys think around most of the player base on Motorfest did play the Crew 2 before? We do know most of the people are probably importing cars and also, going back into that game to import cars because it can be pretty difficult to make money. So they're probably going back on there and buying like the Gordon Murray's car or something like that. Or like, oh, you know what? Let me go buy this Bugatti and then transfer it over because it's easier to buy it on there. The thing is, though, if you're jumping right into Motorfest, you're not going to have the option to do that. And you also know what's crazy about this, though, is I was thinking about this earlier. Like, let's say you actually want to jump into Motorfest and it's your first crew game ever. You are probably going to go into this game going, you know what? I want to buy all the cars, I want to do all the playlists and stuff like that. But here's the thing. If you don't have any of the cars, guys, it is probably going to be a bit of a nightmare. I would almost guarantee if someone new jumped into Motorfest, they would play it a bit, and they would go, you know what? Let me go jump back on the Crew 2 and actually, like, play through that game a bit because I heard it's easier to make money or, it's a bit easier to get certain vehicles. Let me go on there and get them, and then eventually be able to transfer them over to Motorfest so I have more vehicles to run in events. Or, like going through, like, the playlist, you don't have to use vehicles because, they're all loaned, but afterwards, you are probably going to want to like max out certain classes and get different part sets to, compete in the summits. And the other crazy part though is if you were jumping into this game as a new player, you're probably going to go, you know what? I need to buy that Bugatti or like, ooh, that Lamborghini looks sweet. Looks at the price and goes, that's 2.4 million, so I'll have to grind a bit. Maybe if I go do some races, then you spot an event and boom, it only pays $12,000. You know how many times you're going to have to do that race? 12,000 times. Well, not really, but basically farming many of the events for hours on end. Sure, you could jump into grand races, but not everybody likes PvP, so like, having a mix of both and being able to make money is probably a better way to do it. This is also why I definitely think they need to introduce some type of like booster into the game to where yes, you are going to get a 25% boost on events here. You're going to get more money in this playlist this week and like, switch it around instead of only being PvP. That way if a new player jumps in, they're like, oh, wait a minute, the Made in Japan playlist is going to be a 30% money boost. I'm also kind of new, so let's get that one done, make some extra money, and jump back in. And something like this would probably make a new player jump into that playlist and go, you know what? Let me get that Supra so I can actually run that car. That way I can make money with it. And then I could probably farm the extra money from this playlist to buy some of the new vehicles. And it's kind of funny because this would also work for the people already on the game, not just new players. And one thing I thought about though is that not everybody is playing the Crew 2, but most players might not even want to get it. And they might see something like the Motorfest gameplay and go, you know what? I want to give this franchise a try. Let's jump in and actually give this a shot. Or like, see how the car gameplay is and maybe try to get it. That's why they had the free weekends. But the thing is though, if you're going to have issues getting the vehicles and actually playing the game, because a lot of the players, guys, I really do believe like 98+% of this player base probably came from the Crew 2. So a lot of them probably had hundreds of cars or like, even a decent amount of vehicles on there that they transferred over, which in return is a lot of cars you can use on this game that you don't have to buy. So a lot of players might get on Motorfest and go, wait a second, if I actually want to buy like the Gordon Murray or something, I have to get back in the Crew 2 to buy it. Is that going to be an easier way to do it? Now the thing is though, if you've never played any crew game ever, then sure, getting into Motorfest might work. If you have never played the Crew 2, you could probably get that one on sale and then like, jump in there and probably make some money and stuff, buy some vehicles, transfer them to Motorfest. Or you can get on Motorfest and like, play through the game, buy some cars you liked, or get all the vehicles from like the playlist and use those to make money and buy some of the cars you want. And then some of the more rare vehicles you could get back on the Crew 2 or like, eventually buy the Crew 2 to get them. Even though I hate to say this right now, I would almost guarantee that every special vehicle in the Crew 2 is going to be in Motorfest. Like, we have seen many of the old Summit cars being in, like, the main stage, so that is most likely going to happen more in the future with other vehicles. Whether it's going to be, like, the hobby cars, which you can also buy those in the game, and it's probably going to come down to, like, the story vehicles eventually being added. And you want to know what's crazy about that, though? Like, do you guys think jumping into Motorfest right now in Season 3, or even, let's say, Season 4, do you actually think the game is going to be very welcoming to like new players? I would say in some ways it is going to be good. Like, yes, you can get all the new vehicles from like the playlist or stuff like that, but it is also going to be fairly difficult not having any vehicles whatsoever. Like right now, guys, I do want to know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have never played the Crew 2 before, would you actually jump into Motorfest with nothing? I legit mean like this is the first time playing the game, you have no vehicles. It is going to be your first time in Oahu, exploring the new Crew franchise for that matter. Now the big question here though is jumping into the Crew Motorfest as like a new player, never playing the Crew 2 before. Would you guys actually want to jump here in Season 3 never playing that game? Or would you actually want to jump into the Crew 2 first and then jump into Motorfest?